Today we come to Paul's famous statement, Philippians chapter 1, verse 21. For me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. We'll begin by looking at his first phrase, for me, to live is Christ. What Paul is saying here is that Jesus Christ is the center and very heart of his existence. For from Christ comes his life. Through Christ comes his life. To Christ and for Christ he lives his life. If you will, for the Apostle Paul, life itself is all wrapped up in this one person, Jesus Christ. And if somehow Paul could be separated or severed from Jesus Christ, Paul would say that he no longer continues to live, at least not in any real, meaningful fashion. That is a radical statement indeed. And that's why Paul believes that all of this will work for his salvation, because you cannot take Jesus Christ away from the Apostle Paul. You can imprison him, but you can't take away his Jesus. You can set him free, but you can't take away his Jesus. You can cut off his head, but you'll just usher him into the presence of Jesus. Because for Paul, to live as Christ and to live for Christ is to know joy. Joy that goes beyond human circumstances. Joy no matter what. To live as Christ. You know, theologian Philip Carey has said that we Christians are to live Christ-obsessed lives. That may sound a little over the top, a little too radical for some of us, but I don't think it would have been too radical for the Apostle Paul. He would have said, yes, indeed, I am a Christ-obsessed human being, and it is the key to my salvation. It is the key, therefore, to my joy. I think the Apostle Paul would have echoed the words that we find in St. Patrick's breastplate, attributed to Patrick, patron saint of Ireland back in the 5th century. These words are thoroughly Christ-obsessed and express a to live as Christ attitude. Listen to them. I arise today through the strength of Christ's birth with his baptism. I arise today through the strength of his crucifixion with his burial. Through the strength of the resurrection and with his ascension, I arise through his descent from judgment of doom. Christ be with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ within me. Christ beneath me and Christ above me, Christ to my right and Christ to my left, Christ when I lie down and Christ when I rise up. St. Patrick and the breastplate express a Christ-obsessed life, the life of someone who can say, for me, to live is Christ. And I think that is a challenge for me and maybe for you too, because I tend to wrestle with not saying that to live is Christ, but I tend to live a Christian life that says, Christ, help me to live. Not to live as Christ, but Christ, help me to live. And that's not a bad thing. Christ, help me to live in terms of doing my daily job. Christ, help me to live by loving my neighbor as myself. Christ, help me to live by doing my devotions for you. Christ, help me to live honorably in the workplace. Christ, help me to live as I deal with struggles of perhaps physical illness or financial decisions. Christ, help me to live, and that's a good thing for us to do. But it's not the same thing as to say, Christ, for me to live is you and nothing else. Be honest with yourself, as I must be honest with myself. Is my relationship to Jesus one where I typically say, Christ, help me to live, in which case my life actually is mine and he is helping me with my life? Or am I with the Apostle Paul? Am I with Patrick? Am I with Philip Carey saying, I'm a Christ-obsessed person, and for me to live as Christ? For knowing that Christ indeed is your very life is the key and the heartbeat to joy, joy no matter what your circumstances. Let's continue to think about that as we read, we reflect, and we respond, for it is the pathway to the joy that God has for us in Christ and Christ alone. That's Spotlight Philippians, Invitation to Joy. We'll talk to you next time.